film is currently the most collaborative, most artistic way to tell a story, because you can tell a story in so many ways. At this point with film, you can tell an abstract story in mind-boggling ways. And I think video games more and more are getting there, but they really need to get off the addiction treadmill and back onto the storytelling treadmill. But that's my opinion.
Oh, that's their bread and butter.
I think the issue with video games telling stories is the limitation by interactivity. Like, you can have an amazing game like The Last of Us, or something that to that scale, but if you're a terrible gamer, like, and you just hit that wall where you can't finish the story, like, it's just, I think it really hinders the overall experience that video games can bring audiences. Because there have been plenty of games that I've played that, I love this, but then, like, I can't do this, or I don't have the patience to grind for 90 hours to finish the story. But, like, film doesn't have that, it's totally linear. You see the point of view that you're supposed to see, and it doesn't require audience participation the way.
Right. No, I love that point, because so much of the argument is, oh, you're the one doing this stuff. It's interactive, and you're the one pushing the story forward, and you have a perfect film. There are people who don't have the skill or the patience or the time to experience that story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Your talent has elevated this podcast so much.
Oh, I thought I would derail it.
But the podcast from the very beginning was about being derailed and going off on tangents about stuff.
Oh, okay.
But your tangents are always very, very clever, whereas me and Marco's tangents are always like, we started talking about this topic, and we talked about it for 10 minutes, and then we just spent the next 2 hours talking about whatever popped into our heads, and then, here's chance from, respectability and opinions.
I appreciate it.
Speaking of which, I bought your song on Bandcamp.
I saw that. I get emails every time I get a sale, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your music. That's why I gave you money for it. I loved that. I love all your music, but just the chiptune stuff lately has been really pulling me back into nostalgia and memory of old days.
It's been doing that same thing to me too, which is kind of like fed the drive to write so much of it. It would just be like, I'm thinking about this game that I played every summer, and just those feelings, and then having the instrumentation to bring that back out, and it just kind of makes me want to go on like these long gaming marathons. I can't do it, but I can kind of relive some of those really great games by writing little, I guess you can call them tributes to them. But it's been so much fun to record. The album is done. I've finished this album. It's called Cartridge Classics. It's 12 tracks. It's about 30 minutes long. I've mastered everything. I don't have a release plan yet because I can't decide what day I want to release it, and I'm still trying to get feedback, because if I can make it better, I would, rather do that than release something that some people are like, I don't like this one, or I don't like this one. But it'll be out really soon on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, all that stuff. But it'll probably be on Bandcamp first, just until I can at least get enough feedback to know, okay, well, it's as good as it can get for now. But I've actually finished the artwork for it Friday, and it looks pretty 80s. But so that'll be coming out soon. Sorry to self-promote there for a minute.
You should, man.
No, it's fine.
You should do that. This will help you.
But thank you, Lyle, for purchasing Nocturne of the Moonlight. That one was inspired by Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The title is actually taken from the original Japanese title, which is why it sounds a little weird.
No, as soon as I clicked play, I was like, "Oh, this is Castlevania, the terrible night curse."
That track opens the album I'm still writing more chiptune stuff. I want to do either another follow-up album to it, or if I move on to like the 16-bit era, I want to call it the album Super Cartridge Classics, or maybe Super Cartridge Classics Turbo or whatever, something like that. Before
you keep going, and you're gonna have to release Cartridge Classics 64, and then you're gonna be in trouble.
Oh yeah, then I think it'd be fun. I want to try to give myself I don't know, competition isn't the right word, but some kind of incentive to write at least an EP within the next 3 weeks. I want to do a Christmas chiptune album and call it Cartridge in a Pear Tree, just for the pun. And so that'll be what's next. And yeah, and then possibly work on some more chiptune stuff. I'd love to be able to turn it into a career, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's been so much fun writing that stuff.
At one point, I played, I can't remember if it was a CD or just one of your songs from my buddy Clay, and he remarked about how well you conveyed a mood and emotion in your songs.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, music is all cathartic. Like, there's no other reason I do it, really, than to just, I want to get out how I feel either that day or about something that's happening in my life, or as like a present or tribute to something. So it's just, the emotion's always there because it's always, kind of what feeds the whole idea of it.
It's like the point of art, to express yourself, to show to the world how you're feeling, and people relate, and that's how it like progresses and like permeates the culture.
Yeah,
that's really good, man. It's really cool.